Is wall punching a red flag? My 21F boyfriend, 21M, gets so mad playing games he'll punch stuff. He's broken a TV, a door, and put 2 holes in a wall in the past 2 years. It's weird because I would never consider him to be an angry person. He's very even-tempered, much more so than me, I would say. He just gets really competitive at games and takes losing really personally, or so he said. I've talked to him the other times he did this and he's ashamed and embarrassed of it every time. It just really bothers me. He's never hit me and I don't think he ever will. I've been in an abusive relationship before and this definitely isn't that. He doesn't punch stuff when he's mad at me, just if he loses a game and is mad at himself. I've asked him to get therapy before and he can't afford it. He doesn't have insurance and we unfortunately live in America. He'll delete the games for a while or stop playing, but he's been playing for years and years and doesn't want to just stop because he can't control himself. So he'll start again and be good for a while, but then it happens again. Is this a red flag? Should I be worried? We were supposed to move in together in the fall, but I don't want to have to pay security deposits or worry about him destroying our house. I've told him that before too and it stopped him for a while, but he just did it again. What do I do? It sounds like he doesn't have good coping mechanisms for strong emotions, which doesn't bode well for a healthy relationship. That this keeps happening and he doesn't try to address it is, I think, a deal breaker. Yes. Red flag. All adult people should be capable of walking away for a minute and taking a breath when they're enraged. Yes. I was with a guy who started with walls and then tried to start on my arms. Don't stay. My dad also punches walls and broke a TV every time his NFL team lost. Best Buy knew us by name because we went every Monday to get a replacement. He was also physically abusive to my mom and siblings. Yes, a red flag for the wall. And you? Is wall punching a red flag? #YES. That is violence, and the implication is that if he can bust the walls and doors, and stuff around you, he could and would inflict violence against you directly, with enough provocation. He is sending a message to you. For your safety, leave this relationship. Yes, it is definitely a red flag. My abusive ex started by very occasionally punching walls. It eventually got real bad. I was once 100% he would never hurt me, too. Then he nearly killed me one day, when he'd never touched me before. Yes, very much so. Do not let anybody tell you that is normal guy behavior. Not only is it expensive to constantly have to fix shit because a grown man keeps breaking it, but that anger will undoubtedly end up being took out on something besides an inanimate object. Whether it be on you, a pet, or your future kids. Seriously, tell him he needs to seek help when it comes to his anger, or you should run. Yes, red flag. Girl, leave now. It does not get better. He hasn't hit you yet. If he has broken a TV over a video game, imagine what happens if y'all ever get into a big fight. He should either get therapy, and you can do it online now, or go through programs that do sliding scale payment, or you should leave. I would be afraid that after signing a lease with him he'll show even more red flags because he'll feel like he has you trapped essentially. It's never just the walls, this will escalate. Nobody here is a therapist, and I seriously doubt your boyfriend is a psychopath because he punches walls. They're trying to diagnose him, but you need to get your boyfriend in therapy so he can actually process what's happening in his mind and so that a professional can assess whether or not this is a huge predictor of physical abuse. You can appreciate Reddit's advice, but it's not a substitute to therapy, and I don't want you to make an irrational decision based on what these commenters have said. He seems willing to see a therapist but doesn't have the necessary finances. However, I'm sure there are ways around this. One of the biggest red flags there is. Okay, so this dude gets so mad from video games he gets up, goes to the door, puts a large hole in it, and goes to sit back down. And you gotta ask if it's normal. I don't know if he has any mental health issues or anger issues, but either GTFO or get that boy some help. Because how many houses have you been to with patches all over the walls and doors? Cause I've been to a few and I can say not many. Yes, it's a red flag. I'm telling you from personal experience, it is a major red flag. I used to excuse my ex's behaviors, which involved putting some holes in walls. When I eventually left him, he got increasingly angry over the next few days. I eventually called the police because I was feeling unsafe due to his erratic behavior, and he got so angry he just lost it and physically assaulted me. Choose yourself. Leave before it escalates. Speaking as a former wall puncher, yes, it is a red flag. He's broken a TV, a door, and put 2 holes in a wall in the past 2 years. Massive red flag. Do not move in with him. Yes, this is a red flag. It's bad enough in a 10-year-old. An adult shouldn't be doing this. He should definitely be working with a psychologist on anger management strategies. Whether you stay with him while he does this is up to you, but personally I would find the situation scary and leave. How can you not know this is a red flag? He has poor control over his emotions. This is a red flag. I was with someone who did this. It scared me every time, and I think it came down to what the others are saying: poor anger management and coping mechanisms. He tried to convince me it was normal in his perspective. Maybe it was normal for him and how he grew up, which is why he tried hard to convince me it was okay. He would say he would never hit me, but I wasn't going to stick around to find out if that was true. It's definitely not healthy. My house is dotted with patched walls and doors that remind me of a time I don't want to look back on. Look closely where he learned this and why he thinks it's okay as an outlet. The red flag is there, and he needs to make incredible efforts to relearn this behavior. Oh, most definitely. Big one. People who react with violence rarely stay confined to one outlet, i.e. they rarely just punch the wall. Next it'll be kicking the dog, hitting you or any children you may have, etc. It often goes hand in hand with verbal abuse too. I'm sorry, but you sound incredibly naive if you think he won't ever hit you. I'd bet money on it. Doesn't sound like he's felt too motivated to change either. You should leave while you can. My abusive ex before I moved in with him had thrown his laptop like a frisbee and cracked the screen because it was too slow, punched his phone and smashed the screen, smashed a television because he was fixing something that was above the TV and accidentally put a small crack in the screen, so he decided to punch the shit out of it. When I moved in, he threw items at me, pushed me, slapped me, berated me and was super abusive in many more ways. I lasted 10 weeks. Leave. Exactly this happened to me. I dated my ex from 15 to 22. All through high school and college. Towards the end of college he was displaying violence like this in response to his video games. He'd punch objects and walls and throw things. He was also drinking sometimes and that was a factor. It seemed to be getting progressively worse and he once held his fist to my face but didn't strike. That was the wake-up call for me. 2 years later, his new girlfriend reached out to me and let me know he was serving time for domestic battery. He beat the absolute shit out of her. I'm not saying this is the same in your case, but progressive violence towards objects can be a sign of worse to come. It's not necessarily a red flag, but it is. 1. Immature. 2. Intimidating. 3. Disrespectful. If you're a survivor, I don't think you need this in your life, personally. I'd always be wondering when he'd lose it with me. Big red flag. Wife has broken walls and doors when she's going nuts, pissed off at the world. Punching, kicking, etc. Says she's sorry, then does it again later. Punching walls is abusive. Abuse doesn't just have to be hitting. He's using violence to intimidate and scare you. I don't know why this is even a question. Yes, it is. This isn't good at all. By the way, he's only 21. Life stresses haven't even begun yet. If this is how he deals with stress about losing in a game, good luck when life gets harder. I definitely see that as a red flag and someone who doesn't know how to process emotions. Not necessarily. I did that when I was a teenager and I'm the sweetest guy in the world. I grew out of it big time. It's a problem of not being able to read your body when you're escalating and having subpar coping skills. Both of which can be learned. Honestly, some people are just really competitive. But the moment he translates that to you, it's a problem. Red flag. It seems like he's just really passionate about games. Doesn't justify destroying shit though. Yes, it's a form of intimidation. It shows that when stressed, he reacts violently, so as to coerce you into not stressing him by never opposing him or rejecting a demand. Is his name Kyle? Not a red flag for a relationship, but he should calm down his anger. I think it is serious. Someone that cannot control their violent outbursts, cannot control the target of their outbursts. It can and will be you eventually. Yes. Most definitely the reddest of red flags. When we were younger, my brother would get so angry he punched walls, car doors, chairs. He even punched his desk so hard he broke it. He's even angrier as an adult. This is a sign. If he gets really mad at you, what do you think will happen? Is anyone else wondering how he hasn't broken his hand at this rate? He will grow out of it. A lot of us lose our shit that age. It's hard growing into a man. As long as he fixes it and takes responsibility and does not hit you, he will sort his shit in time. Major red flag. Scratch a little beneath the surface and you might find out he used to harm animals as a juvenile. Grown-up shouldn't be behaving like that. Definitely some underlying issues there. Yes, it's not good. My ex used to do this. Normally he would punch his desk when something went wrong in his league match, but once he has actually made a hole in a fake wall in our apartment by smashing it with his fists in the middle of the night. Guess who had to pay for fixing that wall long time after we broke up? Not a deal breaker, but a punching bag seems like it'd be good for him. People usually punch and break things for relief. When you are upset, it's easier to externalize the pain and feel your hand hurting after punching the wall than hurting inside. I'd say he has a pretty bad habit and probably needs a new way to manage his anger. I'm not sure what you want to know in terms of red flags. Do you want to know if he might be a violent person? Violent towards other people? I'd say not necessarily. Some people simply punch objects to calm down. But if your worry is about breaking things in your shared house, you saw what he is capable of already. Are you okay being with someone who might break objects around the house in anger or not? Run. Once punch. Something devastating happening or true despair are all valid reasons to stay, but doing it at the drop of a hat or when he doesn't get his way isn't something to entertain. To be blunt, you already fear for your belongings, your financial well-being, and it's not too much of a leap to start fearing for your safety. His problems are not your problems, but stick around and they will be. Do you want that behavior around children, etc.? Yes, yes, and also yes. Literally only read the title, and the answer is yes. Wall punching is a big red flag. Yes. Red flags. Yes, it's a red flag. He can change, but he needs to recognize the behavior and want to change it. I had anger issues in my late teens, early 20s. In my mid-20s, talked to a psychologist about my anger issues and realized it stemmed from a lack of respect for male authority figures. The short version is my dad just wanted to be my friend. Parents divorced when I was 5, and my stepdad was a POS. After maybe 8 sessions over the next 3 months, I was good. No outbursts or issues since. That was 20 years ago. So it can happen. Even now when I play Destiny 2 PvP on PS4 and get teabagged after getting killed, I laugh. Yep.